You've already missed a lot, yeah. It's one of the advantages of actually being here live. Yes, they've missed, though. Shubhomi is laughing, yes. That should be the advantage of people who actually are in the room live. Yeah, some things, I think I'm deciding to be doing this going forward. Like, we'll have had some conversations, reflections together before we then start talking about the, okay. So if you are just watching this one, trust me, you have missed. So next time, come on time. So we're going to be talking about the module about mindset today. First of all, how many people are ready for this module? From my experience of emerging circle, I feel like this module is probably many people's favorite, this particular module. Let me see ready in the chat. If you're ready to. While I pull up my, if I've not seen enough ready, we are not going to start. Let me pull up my document for module 2. Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing more already. It's good. Thank you. Oh, my document was even already here. I didn't realize it was open. All right. Good. Now you are giving me the energy that I need. Thank you. Okay. Olamide saying let's go is also because she has experience. She's one of our peer mentors, I believe. And that's because she has been here before. Okay. So from my experience, this module is usually a lot of people's favorite, if I'm being honest. And I understand why. Because think of it as a module that underlies just the way mini underlies many other things. This one also underlines, and I'll explain why. You see how they connect. Let me share my screen. Okay, seen it. Yeah. Is my laptop playing with me? Okay. All right. This was, I was looking for PowerPoint. This thing was disappearing. Okay. Yeah. Slideshow, play from the start. Good. You can see my screen, right? We're good. Please confirm you can see my screen before I continue. Yes, you can. Thank you, Rod. Okay. So today we're talking about mindset. And like I already told you, like you already know about our sessions are not me coming here to come and talk to you. It is us having conversations together and interactions and discussions and questions and answers and stuff like that. So I'm curious about what you think about what mindset is about. And my goal, don't let me talk about my goal this yet. Let me get into it. So we're going to start this way. I want you to tell me what mindset means to you. And by telling me what mindset means to you, I want you to either, how do you describe it? It could be with a synonym, a sentence. When you hear mindset, what comes to mind? When somebody is saying, oh, Shubhomi says she cannot see it. Can other people see my screen? Okay. If yes, they can. All right. I think you already started answering me. All right. You have been able to now. Good. All right. So I'm seeing some of the responses concerning my question of what does mindset mean to you. It says, Adeke says thinking pattern. I was saying, would this slide be shared with us? I actually usually don't do that because it's my way of getting people to actually watch the video again instead of just having the slides. But the slides is not, I don't usually have a lot of slides. I have maybe 5 because more of the things I want to say is in my heart, not just on the screen. All right. Adeke says mindset means thinking pattern, ideology. Sharon says perspective. So I don't want to also only use synonyms. I also want us to maybe have a 1-sentence definition or something like that. So yes, it doesn't have to only be one word synonyms only. So I'm looking out for more. Olive say word view. Okay, perspective, ideology, thinking pattern, word view. I'm waiting for more. What does mindset mean to you? Praise Olukayo, this is the totality of my perspective. Praise, it's so good to at least see you virtually. You are my You are my sister. Okay. Um, all right. Sharon says your view about an event or a situation. Ajibola says how you perceive things. Bumi says way of thinking and view about different things. Okay. Christina says disposition about the matter. Bedumi says thinking that powers our actions and reaction. Amazing. Ruth says, when I hear myself, I think about the fundamental way a person thinks about the world and everything else. Awesome. So you are not just talking about the thought right now. You are talking about almost the foundation of how people think. Do you understand? Because I can think I want to eat bread right now, but there's a foundation to why I'm even wanting to eat bread. Because first, maybe I was raised in Nigeria, we ate bread a lot. Do you understand? Yeah. I think that's what you mean, right? Ruth. Subomi says mindset for system of thoughts. Nafkilata says the way we think. Messiah Kende says thought pattern. Ayolua says the way your mind is set. Nice one. Mindset is the way your mind is set. It's already giving me rhymes. Thank you. How your mind is set on something, on someone, and someplace. That's interesting. Thank you. Thank you, guys. This has been a lot. So I'm seeing a number of things. Of course, one of the recurring word is thinking, thought, thinking, thoughts, thinking, thought. I see perspective. I see patterns. Some of the things I'm saying. But I see that you people are trying to find a way to say it in a way that doesn't sound like just your thought of I want to eat bread, but even the things that underline the thought that you eventually perceive. So almost like there is the thinking that is the English inside your thoughts, like I want to eat bread, but there's also the thinking that powers that one too. And I see that that's what a lot of people are trying to say. So almost like something is underlying something. So there's the something that we see, and there's something that powers it. I'm putting all of these things we're saying together. Christiana says a way a person is thinking about something or someone usually influenced by environment. So if I put all of this together, I'm saying two major things. The first is that there is usually a way we see something, but also a kind of influence towards it, right? I like to think of it almost like this output and input thing, right? Output and input. So there is the part that there's a thought in my heart that says I want to eat bread, right? And there is the influence based on the fact that in my house we eat bread a lot, which is the story of many Nigerian houses. Many Nigerian houses. So if you are raised in Nigeria, you probably eat bread a lot. I remember going to visit if like actually family, not friends, family, somewhere in the United States, and I had to be the one buying bread because yeah, they hate bread, but it's not that deep for them. You know that kind of thing where bread can be there for long, nobody is remembering it. I'm like, that's very strange to me because the bread will finish very soon. So if part of the reasons why I want to eat bread comes to my heart a lot is because I was raised in a house where we ate bread a lot, right? So there is the thought and there is the thought then becomes what people are calling perspective, patterns, and all of that. But there's also the thing that influences, part of the thing that Christina was saying, that is influenced by environment. Okay. So thank you for sharing that. And what I want to share with you is similar to that. All I want to do is to challenge you to go a little bit deeper into this first. Second is to be a little bit more systematic about how you understand it. Let me say it again. Two things I want to do is to push your thought a little bit deeper about it. Second is to make it a little bit more systematic. You know what systematic means? Like we can put things orderly, like, okay, this is like this. Yeah, that's what I want to do here today. But so I have a definition. Like I used to say, I generally don't like using definitions. And that's because I think that definitions in situations like this usually like I don't know if it can be an all-encompassing definition in that sense. There's always something that you need to add later or something like that. But because I needed something to guide me, it's the reason why you have the definition. And if you see that definition, you see that I underlined One, two, three, four. Four things majorly. Guide, perception, choice, and action is just one thing. Four things that I underlined there. Four parts that I underlined. And there's a reason why I did that. And I will explain. The way I like to teach this thing is to use this definition to start and also use it to finish. Because I'll first of all tell you the definition, try to explain it a little bit, and then we go deeper into it. And then we come back to the definition so you understand why the definition was this way. So I define mindset as knowledge abstraction. This definition is something that's original to me. It was a way I was thinking about it, like how can I do this? I define it as knowledge abstractions that become an operating system which guides perceptions, choices, actions through self-reinforcement. Let me say that again. I call it knowledge abstractions that becomes an operating system that guides your perception, choices, and actions through self-reinforcement. The first thing that we should look at is that word knowledge abstraction. You know when they say something has become abstract? I will explain what I mean by abstraction. Okay. How many of us are, I want to believe many people are probably graduates here. You did projects, right? You did projects like bachelor's project, ND project, depending on what kind of institution you went to, right? What you call final year project. And your project has something called abstract. Anybody knows what I'm talking about? Do you have a project that has abstract? Someone that is currently writing project and you know you're supposed to put abstract, right? Thank you. In that context, what does abstract mean? What does that abstract of a project mean? What another word you can use to replace abstract in your project? What does abstract mean in your project? Summary, thank you. A brief overview, thank you. So it's like all of the things you are reading in 128 pages, like my project on 120 something pages. I can never forget my bachelor project. 120 something pages. You want to, oh, thank you. I can see that my laptop is going to die. So could you guys give me a minute? Let me quickly get my charger so that it doesn't knock me off of here. Just give me a minute. Let me bring my charger. Okay, I'm back. So we're talking about abstract, and we're talking about how abstract is like the summary of your project. Everything you wrote in 120 something pages, you want to say it in 5 paragraphs. Some of them is not even up to 5 paragraphs. I've written abstract of papers that ask you, it cannot be more than 150 words. That's literally 1 or 2 paragraphs. That's the same thing I'm talking about here. There's something called knowledge abstraction, where what you know gets summarized. So here's what I mean. For example, say you had a season where, God forbid, things did not go well. Maybe business was not going well and all of that. Different kind of things happen that just maybe made you cash trapped. For example, you became cash trapped. You don't have as much as you used to have and all of that. And your brain summarizes that experience as life is hard. And the funny thing, that's abstraction, is that it takes all of the experience that is happened over 2 years and summarizes it into 1 or 2 sentences. You had a friend you had a friend who you did so well with, you did good to them, you were so kind to them and all of that, you were always there when they needed help, you were very supportive, but at the time when you needed them to be there for you, they were not. What kind of abstractness do you think our brain does in that kind of situation? It can abstract it to don't trust people. So as we are going through life and experiences, our brain is abstracting things for us. And that's because the brain deals with a lot of knowledge. So many things are coming. Everything is knowledge. Even as this fan is blowing, it's knowledge. In the brain, like fan is blowing, it's knowledge. So there's a lot that comes to us. So the brain is always trying. The brain is like that. It's like that professor that has too many things to read. So he's looking for abstract to read. It's like, I can't be reading this whole thing. Let me help you abstract it. Okay. So as you are going through experiences, there is knowledge abstraction. You came from a family where, things were not that rosy in terms of finances. You have experienced being sent out of school as a primary school student and things like that. Your brain can abstract that thing to mean there is no money in the world. Like money is difficult to find. Are you understanding what I'm saying? And you see it happens both individually and eventually become a collective thing. People read about how a guy was bad to a lady, they were in a relationship, we did that really bad, and then we abstract it into men as scum. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Please let me know if you're understanding. This is where we use the chat. Can you still hear me? I saw myself freezing a bit. I hope I'm not off. Oh, yes. Thank you, Ayo. Thank you. I saw my yes. So experiences, the things we read, the things we see, every form of knowledge, the one that comes from your family, the things you see your mom did. Someone came from a family where maybe the father was not very responsible, and somewhere in your mind, you already have, it has abstracted it to me, men a certain way, and you take it. You don't realize you even did, but you abstracted it. So it's almost like you put it in an abstract and the brain stores, instead of storing the experience, it stores the abstract. So have you encountered a situation where you just know you are angry with somebody, but it's something they did 10 years ago? You can't even remember the details, but you still remember the hurt. That's abstraction. Have you heard people talking about someone that annoyed them and you're trying to ask them, what did the person do? And you see that the way they're saying it, they can't even exactly remember because they say it this way. It's like, no, it's not exactly like that. It's like this. The experience in the details is not clear again in the brain, but the abstraction is there that person cannot be trusted, and they spread that thing about that person to many other people. Do you understand? That's what knowledge abstraction is, and it happens to us because our brain is designed that way. Our brain is designed to put a lot of things, to push things, summarize them, and push it into our subconscious. Many of us don't realize that this is not even something I'm saying. It is neuroscientists have talked about it. You can read about it after this meeting. That psychologists have said that it's only about 10 or probably 15% of our thoughts that are conscious. Most of the things that happen in your brain happen in your subconscious. And subconsciousness is basically that something happens, your brain abstracts it, push it into your subconscious. So, for example, you have read a story about, maybe you read a number of stories, and sometimes it's not it doesn't even have to be experience. It can be something you read. You were always on Joro every time. So you read stories of how there's a man, one beat his wife, another one carried the money of his wife and ran away with it. You read another man that did this one to his sister. You read another one that did this one to another female. You have read like 10. And then you don't know that your brain has abstracted it to men are wicked. But it did not just abstract it into your consciousness. It abstracted it into your subconscious. And then it becomes what I call an operating system. You know, the best way I usually like to use that word, and the best way I can explain it to you is simple. You know that most of you are probably joining with the phone. The phone you are using has an operating system, right? Android, app, I don't know what Android called their own, but I know Apple called their own iOS. Operating system is not an app. Do you understand? It's not an app. You can't exactly see an app on your phone that you can press that say this is operating system. Whereas operating system is the reason why the app on your phone can work. It's a background thing that you can't see, but influences what you see. Because the reason why WhatsApp looks different, the way it will look on an iPhone in terms of the arrangement is different from the way to look on an Android, is because the operating system is different. So even though you cannot see the operating system, it determines how the things you eventually see operate. You get? That's what knowledge abstraction becomes. So imagine that person already have the knowledge abstraction that not that men are wicked. It becomes an operating system in the sense that it begins to guide your actions. So the men around you, if a guy just says something, you already take it far. Like that's how they used to do. That's how they used to do. It's knowledge abstraction that's happening. It becomes an operating system, a lens with which you view things that then guide your choices, your actions, and your perceptions. It guides the way you perceive. And perception is, you look at someone and you are trying to decide without necessarily engaging with them if they are good or bad. Do you understand? You know that thing happens to us, and there are certain things that you have seen that tells you if they are good or bad. For example, there's been knowledge abstraction of maybe, you've heard some of these things. It's not only individual, it's so communal. You hear things like, Ijebu men are bad. So you meet a guy, and this thing happens to a lot of young women. They meet a guy, they want to marry, and then they go home and they tell their parent, and the parent have not even met the guy, but they hear that it's Ijebu man. They say, lie, they say, God forbid, you cannot marry her. You cannot marry Ijebu man, God forbid. They don't even know the guy. What has happened there? Operating system, guiding perceptions. Just because you know the guy is Igbo, you already have a sense of an expectation of how he's going to behave from him. That's what I'm saying. Please let me know if you understand what I'm saying. Please use the chat. This is where I'm going to need you to use the chat, so I'm able to be sure that we're together. Yes, Ruth, I just saw what you sent. Thank you. You guys, I'm going to need your energy so that I'm sure that we're together. So it guides perception and choices and actions. It starts from knowledge abstraction. So many things have happened. It's summarized into something small. It becomes an operating system that guides perception, guides your choices, guides your action. But the funny part, I feel like many of us knows this, but maybe the part that we usually forget or we are not even aware of a lot is this last part I'm calling true reinforcement, true self-reinforcement. You know what self-reinforcement means? Is that something can create itself and continue to create itself. Let me say it this way to you. Hey, how do I help you see? Let me find an example. You already have a sense that money is hard to make. And because you have that sense that money is hard to make, it makes it difficult for you to charge properly in your business. And of course, that way you don't get a lot of profit. So you don't have a lot of money, even though you are doing a lot. And it only makes you confirm that money is hard to make. Do you understand? You started with money, you already have, for whatever reason that happened in your family, in the things you have seen, you think of it that money is hard to make. And because you think money is hard to make, you feel that because you think money is hard to make, you think people will not be able to part away with their money easily. So something you're supposed to charge 10,000 for, you are very uncomfortable, so you charge 3,000. And so you spend a lot of your energy, and you feel that at the end, only 1,000 is what came to you. And it only makes you feel like, oh, it confirms to you that money is hard to make. That's the craziest thing about this. The fact that unless, you know, the Newton law of motion that says, that first law that says that a body in motion or at rest will continue to either be in motion or at rest, depending on what it is, until an external force acts on it. That's what I'm saying. Until something else comes to fight that mindset, it will continue to perpetuate itself. And that's why it's not surprising that people who think men are wicked eventually fall into the hand of wicked men. Exactly. Somebody said nothing good come easy. And indeed, nothing good will come easy, because that's what they are already, is the lens which they are looking at everything. So when they see hardness, they think of it as an evidence of nothing good come easy. Whereas somebody else who don't have that kind of mindset, we see hardness as a call to greater capacity. You see, same thing, different interpretations. Same thing. The way I used to explain this thing to people is, imagine that two people, I said this thing in the conference. I said, imagine that two people are passing. You were passing and two people were there. One of them is someone that you're already afraid in your mind that person mean evil for you. But the other person, you don't know them. You don't know who they are. You don't have any thought about them. And as you were passing, both of them don't let me use the word mistakenly, both of them, for whatever reason, they eat you. You know that the chances that you think that the person who you already think is evil against you did it deliberately is higher than the other person. You can think the other person was a mistake, and you think that other person's own is deliberate. Same thing happened, but your perception that has been guided by all of this we're talking about will determine how you see, and it will only reinforce the fact that you think that person is evil. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Yeah. It's like self-fulfilling prophecy. Thank you, Ruth. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's why this is the reason why this conversation is very important. The fact there's an operating system, and the fact that it's reinforcing, it's self-reinforcing. And as I said this now, I said this thing to last year when I was, last cohort, not necessarily last year. Last cohort when I was teaching this, which maybe it might even be last year, when I was teaching this, because I feel like once we start talking like this, there is a chance that you can start to think of mindset from the perspective of, what are the negative mindset that I have, the enforcing mindset. There's a way that you can even think of the whole idea of mindset as a thing that is against you. Like, the reason why maybe I'm not doing it is because I have a mindset of poverty or whatever you want to call it. But I always like to start by letting you know that mindset, the whole concept of mindset, God made mindset, right? God made minds, and he made them to be set a certain way. The whole idea of mindset was God made, and it was designed in our favor. So see this thing we just talked about self-reinforcement. Imagine that you have a wonderful mindset about people. Say you believe in your heart that people are always good to you. Imagine that kind of thing in a self-reinforcing manner. How wonderful would the relationships be? Have you thought about that? So the whole idea of mindset being this operating system that almost automates the way you see and guide your choices, and the fact that it's self-reinforcing, is actually designed for our good. What has happened is that for whatever reason, we have reaped other forms of knowledge that was not meant for us, that was not meant for our good, that have now recreated new mindsets in us. I like to say it this way. Remember when, I'm going to use the scriptures. Remember when God came to come and meet Adam, and he was saying, I am ashamed after I had eaten the fruit. What was the question that God asked him? And he said, I am naked, I cannot come, and all of that. What was the question God asked him? Anybody that is a bit of a Bible student here, what was the question God asked them first? When they said, they were naked, I heard your voice, but I was naked, that's why I cannot come out. Exactly. Thank you, Olamide. Who told you? The idea is, where did you get that knowledge from? So what really has happened is a matter of knowledge. If you were working with the knowledge that I gave you, and you were do you understand? A knowledge that God created you he made you for himself and all of that, and your mindset are shaped within that, and that become your operating system that self-reinforces itself. Imagine how great your life would be. Do you understand? So the idea is not what makes this something that eventually can work against us is not the mindset itself. It's the fact that we eventually get knowledge that is not part of the original design. Do you understand? So people come from families that were dysfunctional in some certain kinds of ways that were not the picture of what God had in mind for family. Do you understand? Where they were probably not, they were not shown love the way they're supposed to. And then they think that everybody in the world is against them, or the world is cold and all of that. And that's what I was saying here. The fact that mindset is like an environment with which we live it at our meaning. So imagine the way God created fish and God created the fish with the ability to thrive inside water, and then put the fish inside water. God created monkeys with the ability to jump, and then created trees for them to jump on. That's the way mindset was. It's the fact that He created us to have, do you understand? He created us with a meaning, with a why. And then the concept of mindset was supposed to be an environment that enables and protects it. Do you understand? The whole idea of mindset was supposed to be that environment that enables and protect the way you were designed. So it's like the tree to your monkey that makes the fact that you were designed to jump actually possible. That's what mindset was supposed to look like. And that's what we're fighting for. Because the truth is that, of course, because of the fall and all of that, we all keep having knowledge that was not part of the original design, that keep reshaping our mindset in a whole different direction that we need to then pull back away from and pull it back towards the right mindset. Up to this point, what are you hearing? Before I go into the nitty-gritty details, let me know what you're hearing. What is standing out for you up until this point? I'm waiting in the chat. Up until this point, what are you hearing? Waiting for the people typing. Thank you, Makulata. The concept of mindset was made to benefit me. I can understand. See, one of the biggest things that was like a deliverance for me was this, because when I initially started understanding life and all of that, living intentionally, the way I used to think about mindset is something like almost as if working against me, something I needed to fight, good, I need to have, I want to break this mindset. Also, God had to first of all calm me down, like, Auntie, calm down. Hope you know that the concept of mindset itself, I made it in your favor. The problem is not mindset. The problem is where the one that you are trying to find, where was it shaped from? Yeah. Ayoluwa says your mindset is unusually formed unwittingly from a combination of factors. Fumi says mindset shapes reality. Yes, that's what I said. Who is this person using iPhone? I think you should rename yourself. The person that said the concept of mindset was made to favor us. Yes, it was. It was. No, imagine that you have a mind, a mind of life will always be good to you. And you have that as an operating system with which you work. And that thing is reinforcing itself. You know the meaning of that? So the whole idea of it becoming, your knowledge becoming an operating system that gets self-reinforced is actually a good thing if it's shaped by the right knowledge. And your last says the fact that certain mindset I have are shaped by certain knowledge. Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to get a bit into that. I'm waiting for more people because we're actually a number of people on this call. So I'm going to need more responses. What is standing out for you? While I'm waiting for that, my next conversation, which is the real art of where we are going with this, where we're really going with this, is the real heart of it, is to then break down how does this knowledge becoming mindset thing works, right? How does it work? That's what I'm going to go into. But I'm waiting for more people. I've not seen any other person say, okay. Christiana says, mindset is not bad, as we would think. It's actually designed for our use. Yes. The problem is not the concept of mindset itself. It is the fact that different kind of knowledge shape the kind of mindset that is not appropriate for us. Molola Folarin says, my mindset is supposed to make me live the way I was supposed to do. Thank you. I like the way you simplify. That's what I mean by is meant to enable and protect your meaning. Thank you for saying it that simply, Molola. That's very useful. Just think about it that way. Your mindset was supposed to make you live in the way you were created. So if it is not doing that, the problem is not the concept of mindset. It's the fact that it's the same thing that God asked Adam that we need to ask, that who told you? Where did you get the knowledge that shaped this kind of mindset? That's how to fix things. Who told you? That's the question you ask yourself. Who told you? Sharon says, mindset is for my benefits. It shapes my meaning. Elizabeth said, the fact that I said it is not necessarily our experiences that shape our mindset or teach us, but how we reflect on it. Elizabeth, I'm coming to that. I am coming to that. Yeah. I have a whole thing to say about that. I'm coming to that. But thank you for picking it when I said it, but I'm not sure if many people picked it that time. Yes. Ruth says our mindset influences how we see the world and makes us gravitate to what our mind already believed to be true. Yes. That's part of what it means to be self-reinforcing. The fact that think of mindset almost as a magnet in a way where it attracts its own kind of things. So you think, that's what I'm saying. You think the world is wicked. The chances that you will keep attracting wicked people is high, very high, because your mind will be filtering out the kind of thing you already believe. It will be filtering it out because they are weak. You are not incorrect. There are wicked people in the world, but the world in itself is not wicked. Do you understand? There are wicked people. But if you already think that the world is wicked, hello, can you hear me now? I think my internet went off. I was just shocked. Could you confirm if you can hear me? Thank you. Let me quickly reshare my screen so I can continue what I was saying. Share this. I want to do slideshow from here. So yeah. Thank you. Okay, I can still see all the chat. That's good though. Zoom is doing well now. Normally I would have lost all of the chat, but I can still see everything you were saying. So I was saying that we already talked about, I want to talk about the mindset, and we already talked about how mindset shapes, it guides our perceptions and choices and actions, right? It sort of becomes like, it makes us gravitate towards what looks the closest to our operating system. Do you understand? Let me say it that way. That's what I mean when I say it was like a magnet. It makes you gravitate closer towards the things that are already in your mind. So you think that people don't pay for services, the chances that you will charge low is high because you will gravitate towards that kind of thing. So it guides and it pushes us towards the things that are closer to our operating system, right? So it guides our perception, choice, and action. But what makes it a bigger issue is the fact that beyond just perceptions and choice and action, remember, a constellation of actions becomes your life. A constellation of choices becomes your possibility. A constellation of your perception becomes your potential. Do you understand? Let me say that again. Putting all your perceptions together becomes your potential. You think people don't get certain kind of things. It makes you think of your potential from that perspective. So you think maybe an Ibadan girl does not become president of the United States. The chances that you will, if you're an Ibadan girl, you will try to be president is low because you don't even perceive it's possible. You understand? So a constellation, when I say constellation, a combination of your perception becomes your potential, your choices becomes your possibilities and all of that. And that's why it's a bigger thing. The fact that it doesn't only just shape your actions and choices in the instant, combining all of that together over the years begins to shape your possibility and your potential. It begins to put boundaries around what you think is possible and what you think you have capacity for, or what you think is in the world for you. And that's why usually the way to shift, and when I say shift, I mean shift in the kind of things that you experience in the world. It's usually not first of all about anything else other than to uncover the mindset that places you in that place and to pull out of it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? You need to uncover the mindset. Wherever you are in your life right now is being upheld by certain kind of mindset. And if it is not where you're supposed to be, and you need to move, there has to be a kind of mindset. And I'm not even necessarily mean that maybe you're in a bad place. It's not even about bad, because there's good, better, best, that kind of thing. The things that you are seeing, your possibility and your potential today, is guided by your perception, guided by mindset. But remember that we've already said that it is knowledge that informs mindset. Mindset is just a student. Did you hear me? Your knowledge is the real teacher. Is a student and a faithful student. The things, that knowledge abstraction that I talked about is the real teacher. The things you have seen teaches you something. You hear people like, hey, the kind of thing I've experienced. I've learned that, don't be telling people how much you have. You see, the mindset it's just a student. It's been taught by something. So if you want to change mindset, it's not by trying to say, if you want to change things, it's not by trying to change your habit and change your action. Usually people, when we talk about things, you want to change your habits and you want to say, okay, I will not do that again. I will not do that again. There's a reason why you are doing it. And if you try to say, okay, you will not do it again today, tomorrow, after with time, whatever is still inside your heart will come out. So knowledge informs mindset. But there are two things. If I'm going to break what that knowledge means down, I'll break it down into two things. And I'm not talking about the types of knowledge yet. I'll talk about types of knowledge. But even the idea of knowledge can be broken down into two things. Remember, I said that my goal here is to push you to think about this deeper and to make you a bit more strategic on understanding how the whole idea of mindset work. And that's why I'm doing this loop. So when we talk about knowledge, usually we mean two things, but we usually don't realize we mean two things. Because usually we only think we mean what we know in terms of what you have seen, what you have experienced that is guided by your senses. And senses is not just the five senses. I'm also talking including your emotional senses. So somebody said something that hurt you. What you know is that you are hurt, right? So your stomach, you feel hungry. What you know is that you are hungry. But there is also an how you know. That's your interpretations. Let me say it this way to you. I'm not sure many of us pay attention to how you know. How you know is what makes you interpret what you know the way you interpreted it. Because two people can experience the exact same thing and their interpretations of it will be different. Let me say it again. Let me find an example to let me find an example to give you an example of what I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm trying to find the simplest way. Good. Let me use this. You know that they talk about optimist and pessimist, right? Where you can give a half glass of water and one person sees it as half full, another person sees it as half empty, right? What you know there is the fact that, of course, the cup is half, but how you know is what makes you think of it either as half full or half empty. What I'm trying to tell you is that it's not even just what happens to you. It is how did you interpret what happened? Yes, somebody did you bad and the person hurt you. But do you want to interpret it as if friends will always betray you? Or do you want to interpret it that Olu betrayed me? That doesn't mean that everybody's like that. Do you see? Same thing, two different interpretations. Do you want to, example I'm going to give now, it might touch somebody because I know that this is a recurring thing I've heard a lot of young people ask me questions about. Something happened in your friend life. For some reason, they did not let you know. How do you want to interpret it? Especially if it's a friend who was already experiencing certain kind of material things more than you. Do you want to interpret it as if they are undermining you because you don't have something like them? Or you want to interpret it as this person was just going through a lot and it's okay for them to want to have a time where certain things happen in their life that they don't want to share yet. Same thing, different interpretations. And that interpretation can inform your mindset because if you interpret it as the first, as, oh, but we used to be friends, so, but now she's something. Maybe she's traveling around the world. Let me give you some of these examples because I've heard people say some of things like this to me before. She's traveling around the world now, and no, so she doesn't think whatever. So they did something and they didn't tell you, didn't know about it until later, and now you feel left out, but you interpret the left out as a function of the fact that maybe it's because you have not recorded certain kind of things that they are experiencing. And that can begin to shape the mindset that this life, oh, if you don't also, people will use you to things like this. If you don't also so that they will not be telling you to do something. I've heard something that say also so that they will not be telling your wife to wash shaki, whereas they tell the wife of your brother to sit down. That kind of thing. We talk about these things. We see it in comedies, but they are real mindsets. They are real. Whereas if you had interpreted that to that same thing, if something happened to your friend that you would have been happy to be a part of, but they didn't bring you on board on time, and you interpret it as, at best, life just happens. A lot was going on. They were not in the right state of mind. They just needed that privacy to themselves. Or at worst, realize that the fact is that they still, even though they are your friend, they don't owe you the information of their lives. You are able to, do you understand? Put that what has happened in a context that does not become a negative mindset about people going forward. So what you know is a thing, but how you interpret what you know is if probably even a more stronger part of the knowledge. Marvelous want to pull me into a place that I don't want to go into. I've had plenty questions about this. In fact, anybody that's on my email, remember that there was a time I did a 4-part series on friend relationships. I have never done that on an email before. I had to, because I kept getting more about questions. Adult friendships is one of the coded ways that God teach our hearts to be free of guile. Adult friendships. It will push it will push what's the word? It will push love work out of you in ways that certain things cannot. Adult friendships. Yeah. Some of these I'm talking about are things I've heard people experience. Even in some ways, I've probably experienced some of them. Marvelous, please. If I have time, I will come back to it. I'll come back to this whole idea of boundaries of friendships. I'll come back to it, but please let me finish this. Is that okay? But I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. That how you know is just as important, because eventually what you are going to be taking, what is going to be abstracted, is that interpretation. It's not just what happened. Is how did you interpret it? And this is where reflection is important. Remember that thing? That's what I was saying. Who was saying it that time that was helping me say it? You have to think about the things that have happened to you and make a choice of how you want to interpret it. Like, you have to make a deliberate choice that, yes, I have worked, this boss have been bad to me, but I refuse to think that the workplace is only filled with toxic boxes. Do you understand? Sometimes it has to be a deliberate choice, because you know that once you allow the fact that you had a toxic boss and you interpret it to mean that bosses are toxic, they're after your life, if you allow it to take root and it becomes a mindset, you really keep attracting toxic bosses. Even the people that are not toxic, who are just pushing you to do your best, you interpret as toxic because that's the way your mind is. Are you understanding me? I feel like I'm shouting. And I came here to be a gentle girl. I came here to be cool, calm, and collected girl this night. I'm already shouting. Up until this point, what are you hearing? Let me ask again. What are you hearing? And what is standing out to you? Who is this person that is using iPhone that wrote the mind, the major part of it? I need you to rename yourself so I can know who I'm talking to. Yeah. And the funny thing is that that thing is a battlefield, but that battlefield is a battlefield of reflection. That's why reflection is a big deal. It's a big deal. Reflection is about choosing your way of seeing things. Like, you don't just allow it to happen by itself. Because if you allow it to happen by itself, then we reshape you into ways you don't want. Reflection is that choice that, okay, this thing I've gone is trying to push me towards pain, but I refuse to allow me to push me towards pain. I'd rather go this way. Let this one be my mindset instead, like a choice. Chubomi said, I need to always have reflection where to rewrite the right choices and action in my meaning of life with people. I'm sure you understand what you mean. Marvelous says, my understanding of things is dependent on the mindset and knowledge I'm exposed to. Yes. Olive say, I can see that I make the final decision. Yes. Yes. You can actually define experiences. And the definition is what becomes the abstraction. And the way I've said it sounds easy. You see that when you say you can decide, you can choose, it's nice as I said it, but sometimes it's hard. But it doesn't mean it's possible. There are people who have experienced real life issues that is able to shape them. Someone around me used to talk about some of the things that he experienced growing up. The weight of betrayal that they saw their parents go through. Their parents spend all of their money helping family and all of that. And the time when it started going down, the family was nowhere to be. The kind of weight of of betrayal from family and friend, the kind of weight of poverty that eats them because of that, when they started to struggle and things went down, things really went down. Bad families too. And one of the things I used to ask him is, I'm surprised that you went through that, because your life right now is so filled with a sense of you don't think evil of people. That how did you do that? And he used to tell me that those times that I didn't know how God taught him early, that he used to deliberately tell himself that does not mean that people are evil. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's difficult, but it has to be something you do. It has to be something you do. I remember there was time I was having a strong issue with a friend. It's been long. Myself and that friend were good friends now. But that time would have been a defining moment for us. She was doing things I really did not like, and she was doing it consistently. And to be honest, I was even done. I was like, God, friendship is not by force. But I remember God kept telling me, this one, you are not letting this person go. Because this one is not about, this is not an emotional friendship. This is a destiny alliance. And you have to put your emotions aside. And I'm like, God, but I'm hot. Yes, I want to choose that, it's not like that and all of that. But this is hard. And the only thing you will keep the idea is that you refuse to let this be the last word. Do you understand? You know that kind of, do you know children that used to refuse to let you have the last word? You say something, they say their own. You say something, or you keep saying it, they keep saying it. But that's kind of fight that mindset battle can be. You stay on it, even though the other, what is trying to shape you is having the upper hand sometimes. I remember there was a day that year, I remember saying that day, I was so annoyed. I didn't, I'm not sure I used to tell her that I don't think any friendship has stressed my soul the way my friendship with you have stressed me before. And I was done. I really was done. It was just God that was holding me back. And now, over the years, I've seen why I did that. But my point is this, is that, trust me, what I'm saying is not easy. But I'm saying that when you understand what is at stake, that if you allow it to grow a root in your heart, whatever experience you have had that is negative, you allow it to grow a root and shape the way you see life, it actually really shapes your life. It does. It shapes it. It really does. So you have to choose. You see, if you have seen people who their heart is full of love and peace, who look as if everything, they don't have a trouble in life, it's not because things are not, it's because they are making choices. If some of them tell you some of the experience they've experienced. I remember the day that my mentor, if I mention your name, and everybody knows her, some of the people that are close already know what I'm talking about. So I think she was telling us of a betrayal that she experienced. The thing shook my heart. I'm like, how in the world are you still open to people and happy to receive more people into your space with this kind of thing you have experienced? As in, the day she was saying it, she was giving us the layers of it. My mind was just doing very close that did really bad. And it was not even just one person, it was a coalition. It was a coalition. It's going to be that kind of thing can shape your mind forever. And you become extremely guarded. I'm not saying you should not be guarded, like boundaries, there's boundaries and all of that. But you can become extremely, do you understand? Where you are forever suspicious of people. For her to enter the place where she's still not, she has refused, it's a refuser. There are times I say that I refuse to think about it this way. I used to say it out loud, that I see how I might think of what this person did and how it can shape my thinking going forward, but I refuse it. I refuse to. I refuse to. Let me see some of the things that have been sent. Olive, it was you that got me into all of these things, and I'm glad. Thank you. Olola says, knowledge informs my mindset. So I have to choose what I know and the way I know it. Yeah, maybe you can choose what you know in terms of what you're exposed to, but it's not everything you get to choose. There are certain things about your experiences, because I'm going to talk about the what you know part of knowledge. In terms of, when we think about knowledge, I think there are many forms of it, but I feel like maybe there are like 3 or 4 fundamental ones. There's the knowledge that is shaped from what we see around us. When I say see now, I mean in terms of the influence that the people closest to you have on you. Say your parent, the things you have seen again and again. Are there women here who you see yourself doing things and you're like, oh my God, I'm behaving like my mother. I've done that a number of times. I'm like, I'm really behaving, and I didn't even know I took it. It's just because you are shaped by the things you see. It's a form of knowledge. So the things you see around you, the things you see people around you do, some of the most frequent things of some, especially the people who have the greatest impact and direct access to you, like parents, like family, someone that lived with you, friends, and that's the only one you have choice for. And it's always amazing to me when people don't choose their friends carefully, like they allow their friends to just choose them. No, because the truth is that everything they are doing, it shapes you. It does. The things that happen the most frequently around you shapes you, because what you see is what you do. It's a biblical principle. Jesus said, I am doing the things I see my Father doing. It's a biblical principle. And that's why you hear people say, maybe someone have been raised in a family, a guy, maybe a young man being in a family where he sees his father beat his mother again and again, and he hated it growing up. And he tells them he will never do that. But the truth is that unless God in his mercy sets him into another family, it doesn't even have to be family, another context, where he's able to see people handle maybe argumentative moments that doesn't result in violence. If he ever enters a situation of argumentative, he will actually beat that person. And he will be shocked that he did that. Have you heard people who thought they would never do that, but they did? It's because whatever you see, you do. And that's why it's very important that you guard the things you see, the ones you can guard. So there's that. There's the part of the knowledge that comes from former institutions. Many of us don't realize that even our education, university, the only thing you are not learning is, what you are learning is not just physics. You are learning attitudes from your lecturers. And that's why you see lecturers become like the previous generation of lecturers, even though they complained about those lecturers when they were their students. You understand what I'm saying? They complained about some of those things when they were students, but they became like that. Because you are learning, you are. The information that you surround yourself with through even social media. There's a time I had a rule then on my social media status. Everybody had, I think there's certain things that people had 1 strike for, or 2 strike or 3 strike. The one that was most common was 1 strike. The one I used to do, the one I'll talk about is 1 strike. Once I see a explicitly sexual thing on your status, you are blocked. I'm not kidding. You are muted automatically. I don't care who you are. I've done it to my cousin before, my own cousin. I saw her put a picture one day. I'm like, what? I just mute. You are gone. Because I have the responsibility to protect the gate of the way information enter into me. Do you understand what I'm saying here? What you know and how you know it. I need to start wrapping it, because I would actually like to speak a little bit to that question that Marvelous asked me. So what happens? So basically, when we're talking about, usually it's either that you have been set within right knowledge, like this. The knowledge you're having right now is shaping mindset. I hope you know. It's part of a kind of knowledge. Former institutions, former ways of actually hearing things from people, which happens through things like this, formal education, social media, all of those kind of things. They're part of it. Right. So I'm beginning to wrap up now. And what I wanted to say here is basically the fact that, so it comes down to, if you have a good mindset, how do you strengthen it? And when I say good now, I hope you already now see that good is not just it's not a generic thing, because remember, mindset is about the environment that your own ministry flourishes in. Do you get? So if you are a monkey, the mindset you need is a tree, because that's where you can jump. Whereas a fish need water. Do you get? And depending on where you are, if you are a small monkey, you actually don't need a tall tree. If the tree is too tall and a small monkey, it will make it look as if you can't jump. So even the mindset thing is about seasons and stages. There are some mindset that have served you in some seasons that becomes detrimental in another season in your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a time when you may have a mindset of survivor, where you have this management, we must manage everything because you're a student, you don't have a lot of money. If you're a UI student, you are eating at class and all of that. And you are very, you call it frugality and all of that. And you are always managing. They will never see you in restaurants, you always cook your food and all of that. But you can get to a time in your life where that mindset needs to be reshaped based on where you are. You are now a mother now, you have to choose. Do you want to ensure that everything, you cook it in the house, even though you have the money to be able to, get help, but because in your mind, there was a time in your life where giving your clothes to a laundry person was like excessiveness, but there's a time it becomes a need. But if you have shaped your mindset as if once you do not wash your own clothes by yourself, you are no longer being frugal, it becomes a detriment at a time when you're supposed to not be thinking that way. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's marvelous. I should call her. Yes. Many of us, it's part of what transitions mean. You have to wonder, when you enter new season, you need to ask yourself, where am I now? What are the mindset that helped me thrive here? There has to come a time in your life. Don't let me say there has to come a time. Don't let me say that way. But you might be in a season in your life where it is not just okay. It is essential that you are able to do certain things for yourself. And when I say certain things, like carry yourself on a vacation, it's no longer it's not even just a fancy thing. It's a need, because you need that recharge, because you're going to have high seasons coming up. But when you were in school, there's no high season coming up for you. All you have to do is read your book and maybe do a few things. It's not necessary then. And if you think vacation means excessiveness and you carry that into that season, you will have problem. Do you understand? So this one is not even just about person to person. It's also even for the same person, season to season. As you enter a new season, you have to be asking, if you're a person of faith, part of the question you're asking is that, Lord, how should I be thinking about my life now? Where am I? And how should I be thinking about my life now? Any one of the things that God had to do to me a particular year, and I'm grateful now that you did that. Growing up at a certain, it's not even just growing up. At a certain season before that time, one of the things that God had taught me was the need to, there's a time God had to teach me the need to ensure that, there's not a lot of things going on in my life. My life is quiet. Do you understand? Like, you don't put your hand into too many things. You are stable, you are quiet. But there came a time, it started to tell me, the way you said it to me is that the things you used to call too much is just enough now. And he had to reshape me to see that you are in a season where I'm going to put a lot of things in your hand. And I need you to know that it doesn't mean that you are overstretching yourself. It is me that is bringing, and I'll give you grace. Do you see? This thing changes with time. And that's why, see what I just said. He told me knowledge, shaping mindset, knowledge. Because part of the knowledge is the knowledge of the scriptures too. It's knowledge. It shapes mindsets. It's the same thing. In fact, most of the time, when you need to reclaim mindset, and what I mean by reclaim is that when you see a mindset that you need to rechange and, change something, shift something, you need a different kind of knowledge to power that. iPhone said, mindset of wicked, outside and domestic work. Yes. So you have been raised, you have seen something where domestic worker will help, and because of that, you feel like you will never use them. But there might come a time in your life where, unless you actually have help, you can't do well in life. It's hey God. Anyway, let me stop shouting. So the question will be, what does right mindset mean for you? For you and for where you are now? What does right mindset in certain areas of life mean? You have to be the one to answer that question. It's part of the reflection. You are in this time, you are in that adult phase. Let me use the question that Marvelous was asking me, where adult friendship is becoming a lot less chummy, like it used to be when people were in UI. Because that's some of the struggle that many of us have when it comes to that adult friendship. You expect the chumminess to continue across all of life stages, but it will not be like that. And it doesn't mean that people are not friends. I don't know why I keep talking about this friend. Somebody is dragging this thing out of my soul. Maybe somebody is going through something that they're struggling with a friend, or they're struggling with that part of their life right now. That's why I keep giving that as an example. Anyway, so you have to ask yourself, if you're in that season where everybody is now busy, and it's not a problem. So the question is, how do you think about friendship now? How do you think about friendship that keeps you in a place of peace and doesn't make you think everybody is your enemy. It can include things like you have to be okay with the fact that some things will get to you late. Those are some of the things I had to come to terms. I remember one of the things I told myself, one of the biggest breakthroughs for me was to tell myself that I've gotten to a place in my life where I'm okay with not being included. I might not be part of the group that they include in the beginning. I can know later. It's fine. Because I cannot be carrying myself through the thing where every 2 AK market day, you are angry with a friend. There's no need. I have too many things to do with my life. I don't even have energy for drama. So I really, really stay away from drama. God knows. I stay away. Anything that becomes too much drama, we have to be calling ourselves, apologizing ourselves every 3 days, every 1 week. I'm out of it. So what kind of mindset do I need to put myself in a place where that doesn't happen? It includes things like, I'm okay if I don't get to know on time. I'm okay. Do you understand? Yeah. Anyway, let me continue. Practicing self-awareness. I call it the inquired posture. I always tell people, don't let your experience pass. Ask questions. Learn to reflect. That's where reflection comes into it. Something happened. Ask yourself, how am I thinking about it? How did it make me feel? What do you understand? Or you saw yourself do certain things. Ask yourself, why did I do it that way? Why did I react like that? You'll be surprised the kind of answers you will find. Somebody did something and I don't know why I keep using somebody. Like I keep using relational examples and I don't know why. I feel like maybe somebody needed to hear that. Because normally when I teach this, I don't use relational examples that much. I actually use more of professional examples. But today something keeps dragging me towards that relational example. Somebody did something that make you feel a certain way. Before you even start saying, it's the person that did it, ask yourself, why did I feel that way? Why? Because sometimes the issue was not even the person. You were in a bad place yourself. So that thing where imagine that you're in a place where, for whatever reason, that thought of, oh, maybe is my life progressing and all of that, I've already hit you. I put you in a place where you're even questioning your progress. And then a friend said something about, since all these days, you have not even left your job, then you got annoyed with the person. It's not really the person. It is already doing you before. Do you understand? If you learn to practice inquiry posture, 2 things that will happen to you. Number 1 is that you will have more groundedness. And groundedness means the ability to choose your landing. Do you understand? You're able to choose, like, okay, this happened, but this is how I'm choosing to see it. You have that kind of groundedness. People's actions and reactions will not easily turn you into, you're happy today, you're sad tomorrow, you're moody. Somebody has said another thing, another person has done another thing, this one, that one, you are always here and there. It will give you a bit of emotional agility because you have a choice. The way I think I was listening to a video where DTK was saying something about how, you have to get to a point where you are able to call yourself into a meeting. You are angry, but you are speaking to yourself like, oh yeah, everybody calm down, my lungs, my liver, calm down, calm down. Before you even go on, yes, you will address it though, but before you go address it, you are able to bring yourself to calm down first. Let me move. And sometimes you need to get help. And when I say help, please don't think about it as if it doesn't mean you are weak. What I mean by that is that you need to get all external forms of knowledge. It's the reason why people do coaching. It's the reason why we are even here in a mentoring like this, is being able to hear things from other perspectives, have other forms of knowledge that can help you shape things in a way that builds what you are trying to build. Do you understand? The kind of life you are trying to build. Okay. So I'm ending with this thing again. But before I end, please let me know what is standing out to you, because we're already ending. What is standing out to you? What is that thing that is like, let me use Christian language. What is that thing that is your own word from this our session today? I'm looking into the chat for that. I'm waiting for that. And hopefully maybe I'm able to get to Marvelous's question. Marvelous says, the fact that mindset actually reinforces itself. Okay. Looking out for more. I must frequently think about how I'm thinking. I love the way you let me find simple ways to say what I'm saying. Exactly. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by having an inquiring posture. That's exactly what I mean. Is don't just think about what you are thinking about. Question what you are thinking about. Question your reactions. Question your perceptions. Question your actions. You did something, a certain, ask yourself, why? Sometimes you just ask, like, how did that be? Like, what makes me approach this way? Thank you. Marvelous. Hopefully, I'm able to get to your first question. Hopefully, to the second one. Let's see how that goes. Fumi says, I have control over how I choose to perceive situation. Yes. Yes. See that one? I think it's part of the biggest, it's part of the big, is the probably the biggest ingredient of emotional maturity. Yeah. Understanding that you have control. And the control might not look like control in the immediate because your inside might be on fire because there are times like that you're done. Something happened and you're that reactive. But that doesn't mean you have lost control. It means you just need time. Yeah. Sometimes you have learned that, yeah, I might be angry now, but don't worry. Don't worry. And that's the reason why you will not respond immediately, because you know that you have learned that if you wait another 2 hours to think about that same thing, your perception will be different. So you will not respond in the immediate, because you know that by the time your perception change, you'll be able to respond better. It's as simple as that. That's some of the things that emotional maturity means. It's not because people who are more emotionally mature are not human or they don't feel things or anything. No, it's just because they've learned the idea of the fact that first they have control, and what that control means. That the control does not mean that you will not feel annoyed or you will not, or certain things will not happen in your emotions, but that there's something that time does. It's part of control. Last says reflection is like the power that I have over all things. That's an interesting way to put it. It makes me a little bit scared, the way you say power. But I hope that, of course, and that's why I think prayer cannot just be, how do I say this thing? I have to be careful the way I'm saying it. But there's a place for meditative prayers. And I'm saying this because I'm sorry, I'm coming back to this, to how we started. I have a concern that many and many young believers are pulled into the kind of prayers that are, Holy Spirit, help me. I need you to hear me with your inner ears, please. I don't want you to misunderstand me. I hear people talk about, oh, pray for 12 hours and all of that. I like that, pray in spirits and all of that. But I really think there's a meditative part of prayers where the prayer is really that you are thinking, and you are thinking with God, you are introspecting with God. I think that there's that part of prayer. And I feel that part and kind of prayer is getting lost in our more boisterous prayers. If you understand what I mean, let me know. But that's by the way. I'm looking out for more. I've not heard more people speak, so I can take Marvelous's question. What has stood out for you? Please keep using the chat. I'm still going to be looking into it. I imagine that other people are still typing, so I'm still going to be looking into it. But now you understand why I'm ending with this again, to let you understand what I said in the beginning. Knowledge abstraction that becomes operating system, which guide perceptions, actions, choices through self-reinforcement. So the problem is not the self-reinforcement, it's not even the perceptions or the choices or the actions, is what is the knowledge and how is it abstracted? How is it interpreted? How is it summarized? That then becomes your operating system. So most of the time, where we have to go and fix is that abstraction part. Is what do you know? How do you know it? How did you interpret it? And how do you allow? Do you understand how did you participate in allowing it to become a mindset? So yeah, questions. Marvelous, you can ask me your question now. I think I have like 9 minutes more. Oh, Ruth is still answering my question about what stood out for you. See, as I enter a new season, I need to refer to my previous mindset and the mindset that I need for the journey ahead. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, Marvelous, you can unmute. Please do.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am, and good evening, everybody. So my first question was with regards to adult friendships and just learning how to define the boundaries. I don't want to go into like a lot of details, but the example you talked about a friend doing something and then they realizing and then you realizing that they're not including you in whatever it is that they are doing, and maybe you get to see it online. I suppose like an healthy perspective to it. It's just a personal example that I think last year I got to do certain projects and I just went on doing them. It was later when a friend would reach out to me and say that, oh, she did not like the fact that I did not share my BC with her. And I had to apologize because I just shared the first 100 in my contact list. But I think at that time it strained our friendship without me knowing. And then I'm reflecting about if it was someone else that did that to me, how would I have? So my question is how best do we undo these things? Then my second question now is with regards to what we learned today. And it's regards, especially when you talked about the things that influence mindsets, sites and experiences. My first question is how do we decide on what is right? So for someone that might be coming from a dysfunctional home and they get to, because they've lived in a dysfunctional home all their lives, calling from the example that you made about the young man who grew up with a father who beats the mother. I think that one's even outrightly, somebody might detect that, okay, this one's outrightly wrong because society frowns on it. But I suppose there'll be other things that society might not frown upon, but that it might actually be wrong. So my question is, what is the standard for what is right that we now begin to benchmark sites, experiences, mindset upon? And then my third question is, how do we begin to curate our experiences to match up with this standard? So those
So
are
you are
my
going to have,
questions.
you are going to have to write some of these things out for me so that I don't forget them. I'll
Okay,
start
no
with
problem.
your second question because you are extremely right with that question. And you guys will have to give me extra minutes to be able to answer this question. Are we all good with that? Yes, they are really great questions. Are we all good? If I take a bit more, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes from our estate, because I really want to really answer those questions. I'll start with the second one because I think that's a really good question. There are things that we think are right, but we don't realize it's just because our family it's a family culture that we have turned into right. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example that all of us were able to relate with. How many of you grew up with parents? Me, I did. Maybe your mom used to tell you, does anybody have this thing where they used to tell you that you're not supposed to eat your meat before you finish your food? Anybody? Where it was taught to you as something wrong to, you have to first of all eat your food first before you finish your meat. And in your mind, it becomes a right or wrong thing. It's not necessarily right or wrong. It shows your family culture. So you get to another country or another person's house where, as they're eating one rice, they're eating one plate of fish. And even that used to bother me then. Like, you are doing it wrong. That's a simple example. It helps you understand what I'm trying to say because that's a good question. And to be honest, there's no other way to answer this question than to answer it in the faith way. Because people are going to make me be teaching side Bible study, but I have to. Let me use the scripture. I believe maybe everybody here is a believer. I want to think so, or maybe most. Hebrews chapter 5. There was a part of that scripture that we all like to talk about. Is this chapter 5? Now, yes, chapter 5. That was talking about how strong meat belong to those who have come of age, who truly, by reason of use, are able to discern between right and wrong. Anybody know that scripture? Let me be sure, first of all, that I'm talking to people who know what I'm talking about. You know that scripture, right? Has it not bothered you before? That scripture is saying that you need discernment for right and wrong. Don't we all feel like right and wrong is something we all know? Have you really thought about the fact that scripture is saying that you actually need discernment? And that discernment self is not even something that they can lay hands upon. The only way is by exercising. He said by the reason of use. Another version says by exercise. They have been able to discern. You know what discern means? Is that you are able to see, oh, okay, it looks like right, but it's not right. My point is, there's something I'm trying to show you there where I'm talking about that scripture. The fact is, the simplest answer is God is, when the The rich young ruler came to Jesus and he was saying, good master, what can I do to be saved? Thank you, Hebrews 5:10. What can I do to be saved? And all of that. Jesus told him that there's no one that is good, but one that is God. He was trying to tell us something there, that when you are thinking of the definition of good, there's only one person that can tell you. There's only one person that can tell you what good means. So when he was saying that all things work together for good, it's not you that can define what that good means. He is the one that defines what that good means. So the simplest answer is to say that your understanding of right, which I'm putting side by side with good, develops as you know God more. There's no other answer in terms of what life-defining rightness and life-defining wrongness really means. I'm not talking about rightness or wrongness that is neat and all of that. It is shaped the more we know God. That's the simplest answer. But to take it a little bit higher is this Hebrews 5:14, right? The fact that God is the one that brings kind of good. But to take it a notch higher, make it a little bit more something that you can go and think about as you are living, is this one that's talking about those who by the reason of use have their senses exercised to discern. First is to understand that even good and evil needs discernment. The idea is that you have to be taught. And the teaching, that's because discernment is about teachings, that God is showing you this one is right, this one is wrong. Discernment, do you understand? Is where a master teaches a child to discern something, like, okay, if you taste this one, it's butter, if you taste this one, something like that. But he's saying that first you need to discern it. That means you have to be taught it. It's discernment. But the fact that it's not just being taught, is that it's by exercising. Is over time, the best way I will answer it is over time, working with God, learning how he is thinking, and putting into use through obedience, that we get to discern right and wrong. And I know I'm answering that question way deeper than you're asking me, because you're probably asking in the context, but I'm asking it bigger because we don't get opportunities to talk about these things a lot. In the sense that, let me ask you this question. Has it happened to you before that you are hearing something that sounds right and sounds nice, but something in your spirit, it's as if there's an alarm in your spirit? It's like, you know, this thing, something is wrong about this, but you don't know what. Anybody have experienced that before? Someone is teaching, probably even on the pulpit, and the person is saying things like the thing is making sense, in quotes, it's making sense in your head, but something in your spirit is just, there's almost like you can't pinpoint it. It's happened to me a lot of times. In fact, there are some things that it has taken 10 years to eventually decide that, oh my God, this is why I used to have issues with this thing long ago. That's the idea. It is exercise, through exercise by the reason of use, that you discern. So the meaning of that is this thing. First of all, it is a journey, because you have to keep exercising and discerning. So bringing it to the context you are brought into, which is about mindset, in terms of how do you even know if your mindset is right, is as you are working with God and it begins to point things out to you. It begins to point it out. One of the things, something happened to me in 2023, I think. Yeah. And Lord was telling me, I had a mini retreat. That retreat felt like a therapy session because it was a very weird kind of retreat. You know, when I do retreats, you study the scripture and all of that, but it was weird. I was studying the scripture, but it was not like that. It was a question and answer session. What was that? So it's as if God brought something to my heart. And this is where the reflection comes in, because it is reflection that pushes you to begin to question the things that you think are right. So you ask yourself, you get to a point where God begins to nag at something in your heart, which you have always believed that, oh, it's correct, and that's how it works. And then you allow it through reflection. That's why I think there's a need for meditative prayer, where you begin to think through things. And when I'm saying think through, I'm not talking about the 30-minute prayer. I'm talking about for months. You come back to it again and again and again and again. So let me give you an example of what I was about to talk about. So I was raised in a very conservative, Christian circle. Very, very conservative, very, very, very conservative. We're not deeper life or anything like that, but we're very conservative. And when I was thinking of that, I don't even mean in dressing. I mean in even our perspective towards certain things, including riches, wealth, and all of that. And I'd entered, and I'm trying to summarize this for you guys. And I felt that God was asking me, do you know that? And there's some reason God was asking me, do you know that because of some of the things you've seen in your Christian circle, especially where you were growing up, you have come to interpret it as abstract. You know that knowledge abstraction again. Interpret it as little means godly. Plenty is almost always sinful. And it's funny because this was years into faith. And initially, I even argued until I told you it was like it was for days. I was in Rwanda and I had some time off to myself. So for days, and God began to point certain things to me that I saw growing up. Like it was like do you understand, an uncovering. My point is this, is that you see that right and wrong answer. There's no other way other than taking that journey of, first of all, having an inquiring posture and being ready to, do you understand? You have an inquiring posture where you are questioning things. If you think something is right, why do you think it's right? You have to know why. Is it grounded in truth? And what is truth? It comes out to the word of God. But even that safe, even that word of God, sometimes you see, we can completely misinterpret it, put it in a whole different context, and we don't even realize until we ask questions. I feel like the best way is to, first of all, adopt an inquiry posture. It's God questions. Ask yourself questions. And meditate on things. Think about what you are thinking about. Think about how you are seeing things, what you are calling right. Do you understand? That's your first question. I think the second question is, which one should I start with? The boundaries of friendship or the experiences? Or let me start, because friendship will take me a little bit of while. Maybe I should talk about the friendship. Or you know what, let me talk about the experiences zone quickly, because I can just end with the friendship. The experiences zone is, how do we create our experiences? That question is tricky. You know why I say it's tricky? It's because you have to also understand that there are two ways to answer it, and they will sound opposite, but they are not. You have to be able to hold both of them together. It's that kind of, there's a scripture that used to bother me that time, Proverbs 26, 4 and 5. I think 3 and 4, 4 and 5. One says, don't answer a fool according to his folly. So. The other says, answer a fool according to folly. And both of them followed each other. I'm like, which one do you want me to do? But you have to hold both. It's that kind of answer I'm going to give you. First is to understand that because you are in the world with other human beings and you're in a fallen world, you can't control certain things. For example, you can't choose your parents. And your parent is part of your life experiences. You can't. Even if you can choose your friends and you did your best to ensure that the friends are like-minded, anything can happen to them. And when I say anything, life can change them. And they change and they become a problem for you. Not because you didn't do your best, but because certain things are simply not out of your control. Are simply out of your control. There's that. You see? But on the other end, there's also the part where you have control. There's a logic of control. Sorry, is it logic now? Boundary of control, whatever should I call this? Like there are parts of it that you have a bit of control over. You might not be able to choose your parents, but you can choose how you react to your parents' actions. You see? You can choose that one. They are always putting you down, making you feel as if whatever you are doing is not enough. You get to a point in your life where you realize that you have a choice. And the choice includes access and all of those kind of things. You just decide, okay, I have a choice. And what am I choosing to do? You have a choice. Friendship, we have even said that one, there's a part of choice. So the point of it is that when I'm answering the question of curate now, I'm answering from the perspective of the things that you can control. The truth is, when it comes to curating in that sense, there's just a sense of ensuring. I feel like what guides me when I am trying to navigate the things I'm able to control is two things. Number one is, how do I ensure that my experiences protect my joy, protect my peace? Do you understand? The things that are core to my soul that makes me function properly. So that's, for example, why once I notice that somebody is always drama-free, I give them space. I will stylishly walk back from that friendship. Do you understand? That's part of curating, is that I can say, you, everything I do, you always have problem with it, no problem. We don't have to be friends, or at least we can be. When I say we don't have to be, doesn't mean you don't have to talk, but I can stylishly walk back and ensure that, the access is just enough to ensure that we are talking, but it's not that deep enough for you to always be in my space to cause me mental headache. Do you see? That's part of curating. So there's a part of protecting the things that allow me to be able to function well. Number two, and that also can look a little bit contradictory, but it's not. It's also, I try to create my experience in a way that challenges me too. And when I say challenge, I don't mean challenge in a bad way, in the sense that it puts me in trouble, making me, is that it doesn't allow me to just stay in my own comfort zone. So the idea is not to only have friends whose perspective is like your own, it's just like you have created an echo chamber around yourself. But sometimes you have friends that they bring things that make you go and think. Sometimes you allow things that challenges your emotions and push you towards stronger emotional maturity. Do you understand? So the curating is, first of all, the one that you have capacity, the one that you have control over. So for me, the first is to protect my soul, my being first. Second is to also challenge it. I hope that answers that question. So your question about navigating boundaries in friendship, I'm going to use your examples to answer this question. Because in that example you have gave, it seems as if there's been a time where you have been on the end of the one who probably got to know about something about a friend later, and maybe you felt hurt. On the other side, you've been the person who unknowingly did it to somebody, right? You unknowingly did it to somebody. And that's where I'm going to start that question, because every time I remember I wrote a whole 4-part series. Maybe, Kennedy, please, can you remind me to find that email? I can add it as resources, because I think if you read all of this, it will answer the question of friendship, because I think a lot of people have this question, because everybody's at that stage where you are entering, that late 20s, early late 20s into 30s, into like 40s, when your dynamic of friendships begin to change and you have to change with it. And one of the things I was arguing for in that place is the idea that one of the things you have to come to terms with is the fact that you need to understand that as much as your friend loves you and you love them, you have to come to a time where you realize that they don't owe you certain things, including information of their life. And every time I say it that way, people say, oh, boy is my close friend. That's what makes us close. I get that, yes, you should have some level of expectation. But you have to also understand, because you also have been on the end. Just like you said, you were sending business, you did not think it was a big deal. Have you done things that you forgot to tell somebody? It's possible. First of all, you have to give that grace and understand that part of what adulthood does is that it sort of constrains us in certain ways, and we have to give each other grace for that. In this, do you understand? First of all, is that I'm saying so many things together. So I want to ensure that you hear it. This is part of, first of all, understanding that adult friendship requires grace. The whole idea of boundaries is also giving grace. Number two is to understand that you have to come to terms with the fact that I feel like maybe the biggest thing is this idea of being included. And the earlier we all make peace with the fact that deep friendship does not always mean being included, the earlier you will have peace. And I'm not saying that from a bad place. I don't know how to say this, that you do not sound like you are just resigning to fate. It's not about resigning to fate. It's about understanding the seasons that you have entered. There might be a season later in your life, in your 50s and 60s, where people have become grandmothers and you don't have much to do again, where what friendship means at that point is that every detail of your grandchildren's life you are sharing with each other. But you have to get to a point where, yeah, you were friends with someone who for example, you were single together, if something happened, they have quickly told you. But now they are married. If something happened, they've already told their husband or they've told their wives. So that need to tell somebody have dissipated. Because it has, do you understand? That feeling they get to be talking to you, they've already gotten with their husband. So it's not when they remember that they will tell you, and it's not because they are being bad people. Like, it's just about understanding that things have changed. But the easiest way is to come to terms with the fact that You are choosing to be somebody's friend. You know, the Bible says that whoever wants to be friends should himself be friendly. The idea is that the idea is that it is putting the weight of the friendship on you, in the sense that if you have chosen to be friends, you should be friendly in the sense that give them grace. Hey, I'm saying it in so many ways because over time, one of the things that's helped me is to realize that there are times that I have been the things that I have been pained about with someone else. I have unknowingly and sometimes unintentionally been that to someone else. So it just shows me that all of us, we have to give each other grace. So, and we have to be in a place where we can actually have real conversations. And I think that's probably the biggest thing, the fact that more and more difficult conversations are becoming harder. We all like to be all each other's niceness, do pictures together, my best girls, my company, and all of that. But we having tough conversations like, Auntie, you hurt me. There's no need to, the person said something, the person hurt you, but you went inside, you are just thinking about it, you never said it to them. You have to have friends where you can't say some things. I remember one of my friends, I don't think so that she was really pained about. She had to come on a call and she was trying to, I'm like, Auntie, tell me, we'll cry together, but at least tell me, let's settle this thing. Do you understand? They just, I'm saying a lot. But like I said, I'll send that email, it will help. But it comes down to two things. Number one, on your own part, give grace, let go of certain kind of expectations without letting it become an evidence that the friendship is not there anymore. Do you understand? Like, if they did not tell me something immediately, it's not there. But I've said all of these things, and I remember that even in that email, I also included something. I included the caveat that you also have to pay attention to patterns. There are times when some friendships are over, but it's you that is not, you are not being truthful to acknowledge that the friendship is already over. It's already over from the other person's end. It's you that is just causing it. And there are situations like that that you have to be honest. Like, okay, let's be honest. This is not the same anymore. And it's fine. And it's part of the thing. I think it's just coming to that times when you are fine with the reality of things. Even if I can summarize, I'll summarize it like that. Like, you are not stuck in what you want things to be. You are okay with the reality of what they look like. You are dealing with what is, not what you want it to be. Do you understand? I feel like that's the best way to summarize it. Adult friendship with you have to enter a place where you are okay to deal with what is, not just what we are hoping it's like. Is what is right now is that the friend that used to talk to you every day can no longer do that. Is only able to reach you once in 3 months. The question is, do you still love the person enough to think of them as a good friend, or do you want to let it go? It comes down to that. Is do you want to deal with what is now, or you want to be stuck in what should be or what could be and all of that? Or do you want to deal with what is now? I hope that's helpful. Marvelous. You have dragged the lot out of me today and I've taken 15 extra minutes. But I hope that was helpful for whoever also need the answer. I'm not getting responses, so I can end this. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been a very, very, very interesting time. Hopefully I'll remember to add that to the resources. I think those set of emails. Kendi, you have to help me find it though, so that we can find the link. Hopefully we're still able to access it. It probably would be in the list of some of those are previous emails. One of them. It should be somewhere there. So we find it. Yes. So yes, please tell me what you are living with. Don't let me just end it like that. What are you living with? What are you living with today? What are you living with? What are you living with in 1 to 2 minutes? What are you living with? What do you want to go and continue thinking about? I know it's a lot, but at least tell me one of them. I'm waiting. Oh, thank you, God. Thank you, Kendi. Oh, I hope you guys are hearing me, Sha. It's not that Kendi is just responding to me. I said that in sense. What are you living with, though? That's what I'm asking, oh. Waiting for your answers so we can be out of here. Okay, Marvelous says the need for discernment in determining what is good, the need for reflection to understand mindset patterns behind my action and reactions. Absolutely. That's very good, Marvelous. Thank you. Let me hear for a few more persons before we call it a night. Praise says deeply focus on our mindset. Okay. Waiting for a few more persons and then we'll be happy. Yeah. Olive said, thank you very much. Unless you got a lot. Highlights the need for reflection and build my mindset to be a weapon to my advantage. Absolutely. Thank you, Olive. I can see that people are typing a lot. Probably that's why this is taking time. With mindset, God is still important. Yes, so it's not even God is still important. God is the heart of it all. So some of my most important radical shift of mindset have come mostly from the scriptures. If something gets stuck in your spirit and you begin to think about it for long and it begins to reshape certain things, make you question certain things and certain ways you used to look at things here. So it comes down to this. It still comes that the most important knowledge you can trust for truth is still God's word. And remember, it's knowledge that builds mindset. Baluni says, knowledge informed my mindset. I'm more intentional about how I interpret my experiences. Yes, Ruth. All right, then. Maybe I'm going to have you guys put more of these conversations on our group. It's already really late. If you are still typing, please, can I ask you to please send it to the WhatsApp page? I will look at it there. And hopefully, I actually want to hear from more people what have stood out for you tonight. I want us to end here because we're already out of time. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful night. I'm going to expect your assignments. Please, these assignments, really, really think about it. Don't just send me one-line words. Sit down and really think about it. Remember, you want to deal with your assignment as someone that you can come to as a wisdom guide in the next 1 to 2 years. So really think about it. And then any other thing that we need to share, we'll get it across to the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a wonderful evening. Bye.